Finally, the whole family is off the boat. But it's been 10 hours since they crashed and set off their emergency beacon. And John is close to death.
I knew my dad didn't have very long to live. I knew he wasn't going to last like till the next day.
It's been 12 hours since the Silverwoods activated their emergency distress signal. But there's been no sign of rescue. Clinging to a tiny outcrop of rock, the family has all but given up hope. And inside the life raft, John is barely conscious, on the edge of death.
I'm surrounded by darkness. I don't have any connection with reality. I would pray, I'd ask God, in return for my own suffering, in return for my own passing, would you please save the life of my wife? Save the life of my kids.
Ben has done everything he can to save his dad. He can do no more. He's now resigned to his father's death.
As the sun came up, I could see this little star flying on the horizon. So I thought it could be a plane.
Help! Help! Help!
I was ecstatic, like someone knew we were there.
And it gets right over us and it starts circling, just circles around and around and around.
But no sooner has the plane flown over them than it disappears over the horizon.
I could see the glimmer from the star kind of just diminished.
Our hearts sank because we realized, we're not going to get rescued.
Two more hours pass, and there's no sign of the plane returning.
Time was definitely running out for my dad. We need like a medic or a doctor here now. I see this boat on the horizon.
The family's emergency beacon had led the plane to the reef. But unable to land, the crew alerted local fishermen on a nearby island. "15 hours after their boat was shipwrecked, their ordeal is finally over.
That was when I finally let go. I just grabbed Ben and I held him and I cried. I can't even tell you the feeling of elation.
I was just relieved, like I just dropped a huge bag or something.
We're actually going to get out of this situation. John's gonna make it.
The fishermen take the family to a nearby island, where they're evacuated by a medical rescue team and flown to Tahiti. After 8 hours of surgery, John's life was saved. But he lost his left leg below the knee.
How was it to lose a leg? I honestly can tell you, it bothered me not. When I regained consciousness, everything was new to me. Everything was spectacular to me.
I'm so proud of my children. I thought Ben was a 16-year-old immature boy, and he turned into a man in an instant.
Well, a lot of people use the word like hero and stuff like that about me. It doesn't really seem right. I just did all that stuff just because it needed to be done.
I see my wife and I see my kids through an entirely different lens. And I understand exactly how magnificent that they really are.
Shelley can do nothing except watch her children die.
And watching them dehydrate, that's memories, that's images that you never forget.
Just as she's given up all hope, she hears a vehicle.
So I came up, and that's when I seen that it was the Ranger.
We got help!
So it was right there on the cusp of life and death when we actually did get the help. It was like having the weight of the world taken off your shoulders. Because I didn't have to fight no more.
Oh, my girls. I gotta get them. My girls.
But the family's ordeal is far from over.
Michaela? Michaela!
It freaked me out.
Mama! Mama! Mama!
I ran up the hill. I had no energy, but I ran up the hill.
Mama! Mama, she's not moving!
I thought, well, in the midst of trying to find somebody to help us, she'd passed away. You go from so excited, we're saved, and then thinking, I didn't do it in time. They kept trying to wake her up. They could not wake her at all.
The trauma has been too much for 5-year-old Michaela, and her kidneys have stopped working.
Not something that you want to see your kids go through, let alone be the cause of.
They had the chaplain come in and pray with us, and I'm thinking, the only time I've ever heard a chaplain coming in, somebody's in the hospital, is when you're gonna lose that person.
I didn't want to lose my sister. She's very important to me.
I woke up and I looked down at my arm and I had an IV in my arm. And I remember looking to the side of me and seeing my mom. I was so happy that everybody was alive.
They say a human can only last out in that desert 8 hours without water. Now, we lasted a lot longer than that. And a lot of that comes from my love for them. And the pure drive to survive.
Michaela left hospital after a week and made a full recovery. Roger and Shelley got married a year later and are still together. An hour into her walk, Leia spots a derelict building in the snow up ahead.
As I went up the hill, I noticed a little lodge. So I walked up to it and I noticed that it was a little cabin or something, maybe for fishing or hunting. I was so disappointed because I wish I would have seen it the night before and I would have been able to drag my father towards it or something so that we could have gone in it, you know? So I was very disappointed at that moment.
As Leia pushes on, she starts to worry that she'll never find help.
I felt like I was not getting anywhere. When you're in the woods like that, often it all looks a bit the same.
Leia doesn't know it, but now every second counts in the race to find help. Her next decision, to go left or right, could seal her father's fate.
As I was walking, I reached the point where I had turned off the night before to go into the lake. I remember my father told me it's very important to always stick to your right, he told me. No matter which way the trail gives you an option, always go right.
Leia goes right, hoping that the path will take her towards the town and the chance to save her father. David's body is shutting down. Hours later, a family on a snowmobile trip spot David's body in the snow. David has clung to life.
My daughter!
Now his only thoughts are for Leia.
My daughter!
He said that Leia had been found and that she was going to be taken to Saint Jerome Hospital. It was a sigh of relief that we succeeded, we made it. You know, we're not going to die here. It's not our time.
Honey.
Incredibly, Leia and David are rescued just a few hours apart. Leia walking into a nearby town on her badly damaged feet.
I was so happy. I was crying. I was so happy. It was like I started breathing again.
Leia and David survived their ordeal, but sustained lifelong injuries. David underwent reconstructive surgery on his shattered knee. But Leia's injuries were more severe. Partial amputations of both her feet were necessary after suffering acute frostbite.
I really do feel lucky to be alive. The doctors thought that I would have been amputated close to my knees, and I managed to be able to keep both of my heels, so I'm incredibly lucky for that. And I thank God every day for it.
For her incredible actions in saving her father's life, Leia was given the Star of Courage, one of Canada's highest awards for bravery.
Just 11 years old and being told to go for help and not hesitating for one moment. She's the bravest person I know.
I would have never got out of there without Leia. Never, ever. It was Leia that saved my life. She's my hero, you know? She's everything to me, that girl.
Blake's decision to hike out looks increasingly like a bad move.
Around 6 or 7 in the evening on Tuesday, I was laying over by my fire when I heard the sound of an airplane. And my God, he was coming up on me quick, I could tell. And I ran as fast as I could.
Hey! 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 Hey!
I realized that he spotted me. He'd spotted me.
3 hours later, and there's still no sign of rescue.
Boy, after a while, I started thinking, did I just hallucinate? Did I imagine that plane?
If help doesn't come soon, Blake knows they're as good as dead.
That was the same plane, and as they flew over me, they dropped a bag of stuff.
The bag contains supplies and a walkie-talkie.
I turned that radio on. I kind of told him what had happened.
There's only one thought on Blake's mind.
Please hurry! You gotta go find my dad! He's 15 miles upstream. There'll be a fire going. Just see a fire.
The pilot launches an aerial search for Neil.
And Tango, where are you guys at? Okay, we're gonna head north.
A plane reaches the right area within 10 minutes. Neil's camp should be easy to spot. But when the pilot reports back to Blake, the news is bad.
Hey, you gotta go back. He's up there. Keep going till you find him. He can't leave. He's gotta be at the camp. Maybe you didn't go far enough. He can't walk. He's gotta be there.
I was worried something would happen to my dad. Because there's no way he could miss it.
You gotta go and find my dad.
And I fell to my knees.
Blake ignored his father's advice and left him to fend for himself. Now he must face a terrible thought, that his dad hasn't made it. The aerial search continues. But in such a vast wilderness, Neil's camp is proving hard to locate. 3 hours later, a rescue helicopter picks up Blake and rushes to the scene.
Neil! Neil, you okay?
How did you know I was here?
I asked your son.
Blake?
He climbed in that helicopter.
Dad! I'm so sorry, Dad. So sorry.
And hell, all I could say was, man, you look like hell.
Well, you don't look that cute yourself.
I was very happy to see him. Very, very happy.
Can we get the hell home now?
Let's get out of here.
And then we took off. Together again.
The men later learned that their initial camp was not on the flight path of any local aircraft. If Blake hadn't tried to hike out to Bettles, he and his father would almost certainly have died. After the accident, Blake moved his family back from Alaska to Oklahoma City to be closer to his mum and dad. He now runs a GP practice there, while Neil continues to run his building management firm. Blake and Neil still regularly go hiking together, but they've never gone rafting again.
All rescue efforts have failed to find Matthew and Shannon McGough, and they've gone 2 days without water in the ferocious heat. Extreme dehydration is causing Shannon's organs to shut down. She and her dad are both close to death.
I doubt very much whether we would have survived an 8th day. Pretty bloody sure of it, actually.
Then, just when all hope is lost, they come across a track. It's where the car must have driven past them the night before.
I was not going to leave the track. We're following it in the hope that this vehicle would come back or another vehicle had come through.
But Shannon can go no further.
Shannon wasn't saying much at all. Yeah, very, very quiet. I'd speak to her and she'd just shake her head or nod her head up and down, but she wouldn't speak, so disheartening.
Exposed to the scorching desert sun, Matthew needs to protect his dying child from the unbearable heat.
It was boiling. The heat had risen big time. It was hotter than the last few days. And I knew that I needed to get Shannon into the shade. So I dug a hole in the ground so that I could put Shannon in it and then cover her back over. And that would keep her a bit cooler than sitting out in the open.
But in this remote part of the Outback, there's no guarantee they'll see another car for days, even weeks. Matthew knows he may have just dug his daughter's grave.
I was extremely sad because I'd brought my daughter out into this wilderness and that I'd put her life in danger.
After 8 days, battling to keep himself and his daughter alive, Matthew finally gives up.
It was just like, it's hopeless. There's nobody here, nobody can see us, nobody will see us. We were going to actually die of thirst, a slow, agonising death.
Dad rushing back over and waking me up and saying that we'd been found.
After 8 days in the Outback, their ordeal is finally over.
I felt an enormous weight lift off my shoulders. I felt fantastic.
I still remember the car pulling up and this little girl coming out and me just crying and crying and putting her in my arms. And she said, I know why you're crying, Mum, because you're happy to see me. And I was, yeah.
Doctors estimate that when Shannon was found, she had just a few hours to live.
Yeah, I'd say it's a miracle.
Despite their ordeal, Matthew and Shannon are still close and still go camping together.
Dad probably takes more supplies now and we don't go as far, but it doesn't really change the fact that we still go camping.
I think there was a stronger bond as a result, although the next time we went camping, I wanted to go down this track and she said, "Don't you dare, Dad, you stick to this one." So, you know.